Today's episode is a very special one. For episode number 10, I'm joined by John Watson, the founder of the Radavist. For nearly 2 decades, John's been documenting the culture around bikes, not just racing or gear, but the people, places, and the spirit behind it all. We talk about how the Radavist got started, how it's evolved, and what it means to stay true to a vision even when it doesn't always make sense on paper. This one's about carving your own path, listening to your gut, and building something soulful even when the industry wants you to do it differently. This episode is an absolute banger, so let's jump in. Cheers. Thanks, John, for jumping on the Outside is Magic podcast. I just wanted to kick this off by thanking you for really building like a special place on the internet for us cyclists who didn't quite feel like we belonged. So, from my background coming from BMX and getting onto a road bike, I just never felt like I fit in. And so when I found your website, it was really just comforting knowing that there was other people out there who were jumping their road bikes off curbs and kind of in punk rock bands, silk screening shirts in their basement and kind of doing their own thing. So again, thank you for building that space and giving people a platform to share their stories. And with that said, I wanted to ask you, at what point did you realize that what you were building was more than you just posting cool content that you found, and really you were building a space for a community and other people?
Man, yeah, that's a really good one. I think, like the intention. So the Radavist stemmed from, or basically grew from, the origin of the Probably Is Not Probably blog, which was like kind of my take on, I guess we would call it alt cycling now, or like kind of outliers in the bike industry that aren't getting like media coverage. And at the time that included frame builders and makers and, bike messengers and these like unsanctioned alley cat and cyclocross races. And I think we called them like bandit, or it wasn't bandit cross, but it was like some kind of like urbo cross or something like that, just like this grassroots stuff, and just documenting that with like a point and shoot camera, very rudimentary, very quick on the fly stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I was going to events in New York, which is where I was living at the time, and that weren't getting any kind of love or coverage on major like bike media. This was before Instagram. This was like 2006, before like social media. Like it was a blogspot website, and I think it was like I was like hosting like a weekly meetup called the Peel Sessions, with like a fixed gear, kind of like, bar spins and skids and stuff like that. And we would like travel around, or I would travel around the US to there's either bike messenger events or like NABs, or just bike events really. And just seeing these like things happening in other places that were like inspired by like whatever I was like helping out with in New York. And, but that was like the urban cycling and like fixed gear crew. I think like the feeling of community and feeling like you had really like helped foster growth, I think for me was much more recently. I think like you see things happening in the world and the kind of like the community, so to speak, but it's not until like you're kind of hit over the head with it, like bluntly, to where like you realize like how you've actually helped foster things. And that was at the first Made bike show in Portland, which was only like 2020.
Cool. Yeah.
It had been a number of years since the North American Handmade Show had closed. NABS was what it was called. And Made was like the first kind of like big frame builder like showcase in America. And someone scribbled on the Porta-John wall outside, the Radavist made me famous. And
Nice.
that was like kind of like a thing where, everyone when I started documenting like people making bike bags and stuff like that, and then suddenly it's like that person could leave their full-time job and make bike bags full-time. Like you get these like anecdotal experiences throughout time, or, helping some component manufacturer come to market with something, or like a frame builder, like Adam Sklar and I are like tight friends. And he said multiple times that like I've helped him grow his business. And I never did that to like get any kind of notoriety or to like, wear a crown. It was just a passion and a love. But like at Made, where like legitimately people were coming up like teary-eyed being like, dude, like your website saved my life. Like, you helped me launch my company. And like the kind of like overwhelming feeling of support was just like, yeah, it just hit me really hard. I mean, I still get kind of like teary eyed when I think about it, but yeah,
Yeah.
just it's like your life's work that has like culminated and created this thing that is just really beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's amazing because we spend so much time by ourselves or with our small teams kind of building these things, and you lose sight that everything that you're doing is building towards something bigger and that it has ripple effects and you are affecting people. And you might have gotten someone into biking and then they have a kid and they get their kid stoked on biking, which is just, I think that's what's so special about cycling in general, but
Yeah.
also just about, taking the initiative and building something that
Yeah.
no one else was building.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, I think it was like kind of I remember when Rafa asked me to like document commuters in Austin with my like Hasselblad or my Mamiya 7 or whatever medium format camera. And it was like a big brand being like, hey, we love what you do with these like bike checks and these, because I used to just bump into people and be like, hey, can I shoot photos of your bike? And they were like, can you? Because George Marshall was just like, he's like this amazing UK photographer. And George is like Rafa survey stuff in London where like, it's like people wearing tweed and like, Brooks
yeah.
saddles and like all this like stuff. And then the Austin ones I did were they're not sporty cyclists. They're just transport cyclists. Like they just ride a bike for
Yeah.
station. And yeah, Carrie, my partner, wife, and co-owner of the Radavist, and I were talking about it last night. About there's Santa Fe Literary Festivals this weekend, and there's a few of the panels are like environmentalists, and I'm like, I want to go there and stand up and raise my hand and ask how many of these quote unquote environmentalists ride a bike around town. And
Yeah.
it's like we're not just like trying to get people to race road racing or like race enduro or gravel. We're trying to get people just to like see that bikes can be really fucking cool and they can be as unique as the people that ride them. And you can get someone to make you a custom bike that's like the only one like it in the world. And if that inspires you to ride it more, or you can just build like an All City or like a Surly or a Crust or whatever and add personality. And if it gets you out of a car, that's like the ultimate goal, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was thinking back as well, and the first time, because as a BMXer, I didn't really wear helmets, and so the first time when I was faced with I got a road bike in New York, and I had to buy a helmet. I found a review on your website, so I bought a Giro helmet, and then at the time, Search and State had just come out, and you had done a review on that, and so I had a Giro helmet and Search and State kit, and it was like the best, and yeah, I think for sure at some point, and probably still now, you definitely almost made or broke brands. I felt, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, bike media's kind of has that, like Campy Euclid, like the first mountain bike group set that Campy made. There was like some story, I don't, and pardon, I'm sure some like vintage mountain bike aficionado is going to like call me out for getting this wrong, but I think it was like Missy Giove raced the group set and like her mechanic didn't follow the setup instructions and he couldn't get it to
Oh
shift.
no.
And then Missy was like, I don't know if she lost the race or something, or like almost lost the race, but was having like shifting issues. And she said something in like a magazine article or like, and like the sales just tanked for that group set and it like killed it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a different time. Obviously, there was like maybe 3 magazines covering mountain biking, so it wasn't the same. But I mean, Travis Engel wrote a very honest SRAM Maven review last year that was ranking above Pink Bike's SRAM Maven review for
Wow.
the entire year. And it was like it wasn't brutal. It was just like Travis had called all these other journalists and be like, are you having this problem? And like they all were like, yeah, we're having this problem too. But like we were the only ones that talked about it. And it's kind of like
Yeah.
balance of like, I like SRAM as a company. SRAM supports what we do. It's amazing to have a giant corporation like literally help us out. But in the same sense, like without our integrity and without our audience, we're nothing. So we have to be honest about it. And Travis did a really good job being like very honest, but still being like critical of product. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that didn't really sit very well. Like I had someone from SRAM say that they, no hard feelings. Like we appreciated that you guys were honest about this, but like you're still like, oh shit, yeah. As the boss or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't want to ever not be honest about stuff. So yeah, it's a tenuous line of like, a lot of things are subjective too. So like, I might not like the way a bike rides, or I might notice something about a bike. Like I love my Starling Murmur. Like that is my favorite mountain bike. It for me. I feel like the bike is flexy. Like feel is like subjective, right? Other people ride them and they're like, I hated that bike. There's too much
Yeah.
pedal kickback. The brake jack was horrible. It was like a noodle or whatever. And it's like, it's everyone's got a different opinion. So you really just try to state that these are like preferences, and it's terrain and it's like rider dependent and a number of things, without just like, there's like so much like clickbaity shit on YouTube where it's like, this is garbage, and it's like tons of comments of people mad, and it's like that stuff just, I don't know. I don't want to do that kind of journalism. Not my.
Yeah. And I guess like it or not, through the Radavist, you've built these characters, yourself included, who write stories and reviews, and people really come to know them and really trust them, which I think is really cool and I think is missing from, all the other media outlets out there.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to like do a better job about like, we're like in the process of like redoing our membership stuff because it was super confusing. Like when for those who don't or aren't aware or don't know the website, I sold the Radavist in 2022 or 2021. I don't remember, to this venture capital backed retailer out of Colorado, because I was like kind of tired of just the grind and like doing it. At the time it was Carrie and me doing everything, and it was just like a lot. And then they tanked. So we like fought them in a gnarly legal battle for like 7 months to try to get the website back. And we knew that if we were going to keep the people that were on our team, we had one full-time staff, and then we had a bunch of people that were like on retainer, that we would have to, everyone was on retainer, but we had like a full-time retainer and then a bunch of like part-time retainers, that like we were looking at the numbers and we're like, there's no way we're going to be able to afford to pay for people just based on our advertising metrics from like 2019. And then like the
Yeah.
ad sales numbers had gone down considerably post COVID. So we were like, we need to launch this membership program. And back in like 2020, we had this idea to launch, or it was actually before that. I mean, I've had the idea for a while. I just didn't really understand like how to make it work. But I wanted to do a used gear marketplace for components. And I think like in a comment section in like 2018, I was like telling people like, we really want to have a platform where people can buy and sell used stuff. And I also wanted to be able to like, if I wanted to try out something, I would look on the Rad Bazaar and see if there was, or like on this marketplace and see if there was like a used version that I could buy and then review instead of like buying a new thing or whatever. So we launched this we call it the Rad Bazaar, which I think is kind of funny, but we launched the Rad Bazaar as a thank you present to people that would subscribe to this like membership program, so that we could be better funded to pay our entire staff. And then we didn't really do a good job with the UX. It was like we had to do it in 2 weeks, which was crazy. And the firm that we used to build the platform was they do stuff for like Planet Fitness and like spin cycle classes and like all this like expensive shit. So they were expensive, but they would do it in the timeline. But it was just the UX was like, we were trying to get people to sign up for the Radavist membership, and then they're signing up for the Rad Bazaar at the Rad Bazaar. And it's like this
Gotcha.
things. But the whole idea, I think that in that time, which has been almost 2 years at this point, like we really needed to like have our audio or have our reader or our author, like our contributors, really try to like promote themselves via the website. These are the articles that I've done just to like show people that there's like so many hands that go into the site.
Yeah.
There's like 10,000 touches like to get the site rolling, and just like really like show people that each of these authors are contributing to this space that you are enjoying for free. And like, we're not going to paywall, because I grew up in skate and BMX and like surf shops, like looking through magazines. And I think everyone should have access to media. So we're not going to paywall. Like, we need to have some kind of like incentive for the audience. And honestly, that's just like the best shit on the internet right now. Like, we've got the best photos on the internet. We got the best event coverage on the internet. I think our reviews are really good. They're very verbose, but like we're delivering like upper echelon content for free. And it's like, I think that's worth 5 to whatever you want to pay a month. Point. So the hope is that like once we roll out this new membership platform and system, that like the audience will become more familiar with who's writing what, just based on like their kind of like personality. And we're going to redo the author pages and stuff like that. So, but anyway, yeah, I guess the biggest thing is like, that's why I started the Radavist, because I didn't want to be the person in charge of everything. I don't want it to be my voice anymore. I wanted to bring in like diverse voices and different voices, and we've been having like BIPOC people and like queer people and like trans people writing articles for us since like before 2020. It was like 2017, 2016, or we were having these like really tough kind of articles posted because like these are cyclists, like these are people that ride bikes and like they should be part of the conversation. And really ultimately like we just want to be able to continue to pay all these people more than what we're paying them now. Like we want to pay them like what they're worth. And I think
Yeah,
that's the end goal, right? So yeah. Sorry, that was a long one.
that's awesome. No worries. No, that's great to hear. I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves for sure.
Me too.
Um,
I feel like we've been working on it for like a year at this point. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
okay. Looking back on all the stories you shared and the people you've met, what is a lesson you learned that sticks out to you today?
Whew.
One that brings you joy.
Yeah. 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 Man, I think it's like just admitting when you're wrong is like a huge thing, or not even. I feel like conversation and like debate or whatever, there's not a wrong and a right. I think it's like the polarization of politics and society right now makes everything feel like it's binary, but everything is like very much on a spectrum. Like, gender, love, all that's everything's on a spectrum. Like, I think I've had a few moments over the past few years, and I think it was like after the TPC dissolution stuff or the company that we sold the Radavist to, people like realized like, dude, you go through a lot. And a lot of people came up and they were like, hey, I've said some pretty shitty stuff on your website and you banned me like for being a troll, and like your talk about recovering from alcoholism and seeing like the struggles that you've gone through, like I just wanted to apologize for like my behavior because I didn't mean to add to your stress. And like I think that's been like a really nice thing to have, because I mean you don't have to agree with stuff, and I have very strong opinions about a lot of things, but like the discourse of like disagreement is like really a delicate thing, and the internet is not a place for nuanced discussion. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in the past, I've definitely like come down on people too hard for saying things that are just like, in my view, at the time, were out of ignorance. But then there's also just been people that just troll the shit out of us just because we're putting ourselves out there. But I think like when people have come up, or when I have gone up to people and been like, "Hey, I'm sorry for being a dick," or not even being a dick, just like sorry for coming down on you and like making you look bad or whatever. I think that is probably one of the best feelings, when you can like kind of squash beef and just like be like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, you don't have to like me, but I'm sorry for saying that stuff. And I
Totally.
think a lot of that is kind of like the post alcohol clarity that, I mean, you were saying you've been sober or haven't drank for 5 years. Like I've been completely sober, no drugs for over a year now at this point. That like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's like I know myself better now, and I know and control like my reactions and turn them into responses now. But yeah, I mean, it's still just, the world is like fucking stressful, and yeah, I just want the website to be a place where like you don't have to read about all the fucked up shit happening, and if you do read about the fucked up shit happening in the world, it's through the lens of like how this affects cyclists, not just like doom and gloom, like rage baity like stuff. So, and Carrie and
Yeah.
I were just talking about this like last night, like how do you talk about the environmental stuff without like rage baiting people into, or how do you critique the bike industry while like,
Yeah.
I think there's too much carbon fiber and too many batteries in the bike industry, but I still review products that are carbon fiber and that have batteries. And it's like, we're part of the system. People want to read about that stuff, but like, I don't have to necessarily agree with everything I'm doing. This is like, we're all just like kind of part of this like collapsing neoliberal late capitalist like framework. And we have to make it work. So
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to like the thought about admitting that you're wrong, we also don't realize what other people are going through. And so being honest and actually apologizing to someone could actually really, I think, affect them and really help them on their journey that, whatever they're going through.
yeah, yeah. I try not to. I don't really like beef with. I don't beef with people. There's like I can count on like one hand the amount of people that I just do not respect, and I guess you could say is beef. But that's after 44 years on this planet. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's mostly because like those people, their behaviors are like on the narcissist spectrum, and like they will actually never be able to change because a narcissist or a psychopath can never change. Like that's just part of their personality. So those people I've just had to like write off and like cancel like out of my life and just act like they've never existed. Because it sucks like when you know someone or you have, it sucks to have to like do that, put up a boundary and like you're no longer part of my life, because it just feels like you're losing a bit of the humanity there. But at a certain point, it's just not worth the damage that it does to you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think as we get older, we have to really start protecting ourselves from all these things too, especially when we're constantly getting fed just news and just
yeah,
negativity. It's so much to take in. I don't think we're made for this.
no, I mean, it's,
So,
yeah, we talk about this a lot. Is it's like we're actually living in like a historic, like in terms of um, statistics. Statistically speaking, we are in a very safe like time of like, of humanity. Like there's, vaccines, and there's like all this health stuff. All, there's fewer wars, there's fewer violence worldwide, like fewer coups. But it's like we are absorbing all of this like global information. Like pre-industrialized humans had this fear and this scarcity mindset of like immediate local needs, like food, shelter, like water. All those things are like really like what the tenets of civilization, if you will. Like, and they had like insecurity about those localized things. And now modern civilization, because of like globalization, information, like all this stuff, we have global insecurity, but like localized security. And it's like pre-civilized, pre-technological humans had like global security because they just didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, so it's like this interesting like technological like implosion of like security. And yeah, I just can't even, I can look at the news anymore. It's like it sucks. And there's like stuff
yeah.
happening that, I just try to focus on local things. Like any kind of advocacy that's happening with like local cycling infrastructure. I write my senators, I write all of my elected officials anytime there's like something that's happening locally that I feel like, or even globally, like, I wrote my senator over what was going on in Gaza and the genocide that's happening there. And I've written my senator about the public lands like selling. And it's like every day I'm like sitting there hammering people. And it's yeah, the world feels shitty. But that's why we want to make the site like this like nice bastion of like distraction from
Yeah.
increasing kind of global instability.
For sure. We definitely need it. Some of my favorite stories are the ones that are kind of off the bikes, the ones where you're kind of like, exploring outdoors with your wife and focusing on photography and hanging out with friends. How important is that for you to kind of take a time away from the computer, the bike, and just recharge?
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, that's a great question. That's my favorite stuff because it's not work. I'm always going to have a camera. I've like divided my life like professionally, like my camera kit is like Canon R5, 70-250 prime, work. That's a work camera. The photos lack personality. They're tack sharp. They look great, whatever. It's great for work. And then my life stuff is like my Mamiya 7 II, my Leica M10, and my Leica M7. And like most of those backpacking trips, like in canyon country, were shot on film just because it's like, you're not chimping. You're like, click. If that came out, great. If not, it's not like I have to write about it. And then you end up with like 4 of film and like, oh, I have like 40 images that are pretty good. So let me write about the importance of these places. And I think I think all like sports and activities, I think people get very, very myopic. And I mean, there are people that literally would never trail run or backpack because they just want to have a bike with them at all times. And that's great.
Mhm.
That's awesome. But you are missing out on some phenomenal places that bikes aren't allowed, and they shouldn't be allowed. Like, I don't, yeah, there's like endless wilderness out there that is just, I mean, there's like places in canyon country we go where you're walking up to like ancestral Puebloan houses that are thousands of years old that still have like corn husks on the ground and like obsidian like points, like arrowheads or spears or pots in the ground from like pre-Hopi civilization and in like various canyons, and giant pictographs and petroglyphs, and all kind of like just showcasing the struggles of like what it was like to live there and hunt and grow crops and pray for rain and worship these like kind of deities that made life possible. And I think those kind of like atavistic experiences of like connecting with humanity is like really important. And like you should have to walk to those places. Like, it's great for accessibility and education to have some that you can just drive your car up to, But some of the really like cherished, most like important, like spiritual places, like you have to walk like 20 miles to get to. And I think that might sound gatekeepy, but like there's idiots out there that think that they're going to scratch their name into something that's older than, any like recorded civilization. And that's like, you just got to keep, it's like you got to have a bullshit filter to keep the yahoos out. Like, and we've seen that happen a bunch in the Four Corners region and on the Colorado Plateau over the past few years. And it's like, yeah, just some places should just be secret and should be a sanctuary for like kind of recharging the soul. So yeah, I mean, it's nice that you notice that stuff, because like I feel like those are the stories where I really pour more of myself into. And I think there's like, me and Carrie like built our love for each other, like going out into the deserts and sometimes getting like really like in hairy situations in the 4x4 and like, or like, but it's like, yeah, we've like learned to support each other through these like kind of hardships, whether it's like walking 25 miles in ankle deep sand with a 50-pound pack, or it's like almost flipping up the Land Cruiser on a Jeep road in the, San Rafael swell. It's like something is always bound to happen. And I think that's like when you really form bonds with people, be it friends or your partner.
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of recently discovered non-bike activities, and I didn't grow up in the mountains or anything like that. I grew up in the Bay Area. I've been finding myself going deeper and deeper in the backcountry solo, mainly because I enjoy it, but I'm also kind of scared out there. And it's been yeah, I just forced myself to just keep going back out and like facing those fears. Have you felt anything like that when you're on these adventures?
Yeah, I mean, big time. Like, particularly like, I mean, I've been in a completely armored 4x4 with like, and a grizzly bear is like shaking the truck. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't even have to, that's the one thing, is like, you don't even have to really like go that far to like feel, I mean, as the crow flies, like there's pretty gnarly single track here that you're like 7 miles as the crow flies from town. And I've had some like scares where, you catch yourself and you're like, fuck, I'm over the edge. But like in terms of like non bike stuff, all the time. I mean, I've done just solo stuff out in like the Mojave Desert, where it's like you get turned around, or like you're out for too long and the sun sets, and like you do stupid shit like not bringing a headlamp. It's like I mean, there's like an idiot's checklist to like
Yeah.
these like places, and it's like water, like an emergency bivy, headlamp, some kind of pocket knife, some kind of match, or like waterproof matches or fire starter. And it's, yeah, there was like a podcast that I think Backpacker did that was called like Out Alive or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
That like,
There's some good stories in there.
yeah, like all it did was solidify like my complete like disinterest in doing any backcountry skiing where like avalanches are a thing. I'm just like, yeah, because half of them are just like avalanche like stories. But yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like we went down over like Turkey Day or Thanksgiving or whatever you want to call it. Like we went out into a canyon up on Cedar Mesa and Bears Ears, and like one of my friends just sat down on a rock, and it was like a chair-sized rock, and it crumbled, and he fell, and like I don't remember. I think he twisted his ankle or rolled it, and it was like, yeah, we're like maybe 8 miles from the car with about 3,000 vertical
Yeah.
feet or something. I don't know what the actual elevation was, but you're just like, yeah, like it's never doing something sketchy that gets you hurt. It's like stepping off a rock and just rolling your ankle. And like, yeah. But Carrie and I have been out in slot canyons in southeastern Utah too, and like bumped into big mountain lions and cougars and stuff too. And that's like
Yeah.
different kind of scary.
That's my fear for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather die in the jaws of a mountain lion than under a Prius or a Tesla, like getting hit on my bike any day. But like, still,
Yeah. It's true.
that's a gnarly way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I know you travel a lot for work, but at this point, do you feel you get inspired when you still travel, or is it more just feels like work? Because I imagine at first it felt very inspiring to be able to go to all these new places and document them and meet new people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, another great question. I was like, I went to architecture school, and I graduated and went to Europe after, and spent time in the Netherlands, and then went to Germany and like spent some time in Europe and tried to like figure out where I wanted to live, and went back and moved to New York City because I didn't want to have to drive anywhere. Just wanted to be able to ride a bike everywhere. And I remember like going to Japan in like 2008, and it was like I don't even remember how I don't think I paid for the flight. I think someone like some company, bike company, paid for me to go, and just like riding a bike, a brakeless like track bike, or it wasn't even a track bike. It was like a kind of like a fixed gear mountain bike, like a single speed mountain bike around Tokyo with like 30 people from all over the world doing the same thing. Like just blew my mind. I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
still think of that about that trip. And then I've been back to Tokyo a number of times since, usually for bike events. But Carrie and I have done like kind of like a tourist trip around like all these like places. And I think honestly, like where I live is really beautiful. And I wouldn't, living in Santa Fe, like if you're not into the outdoors, like there's really no reason to live here. I mean, it's unless you're born here or you have some kind of like tie to a community, or if you're indigenous, we have like 19 Pueblo tribes that surround the city. But like if you're just like a white guy like me that really I don't even know what I would call my home. I was raised in North Carolina, but like I've lived kind of all over, and I don't really feel like I have like a place that's like linked that I'm like linked to. So going to other places around the world, we just got back from the UK, or going to Northern Europe and to Finland and or Iceland and or even like Australia and South Africa and like all the places that I've gone, like China, like doing a bike tour around China, like it definitely inspires me in a very different way. But like we don't live in a big city anymore, and both of us are artists and like inspired by culture and architecture and museums. So like when we went to the UK for Bespoked, we spent like 3 days in London beforehand going to art museums and just geeking out on like architecture, and that stuff to me is very inspiring. Like I need to
Yeah.
like our merchandise doesn't look like bike stuff. It's like we'll like reference Alexander Gerard or other kind of like artists that Carrie and I both admire. So it's like Hockney, like we did some Hockney socks that were like inspired by a Hockney painting, and that's who we are. We're art and culture geeks. Like a lot of the books behind us, Chinati, and that's like all the architecture and design stuff that's like inspires who we are as people and then what we put into this world. So yeah, big time. Like I really need that like as a visual person. And like honestly, like I don't even want to bring a bike on those kind of trips. Like I just want to go and more of a culture, and riding a bike around is great. It's a great way to see cities. But in London, like we were just doing like 16 to 20,000 steps a day walking around. And Carrie went to Paris to see her mom and her brother while I was in Manchester shooting bikes. We were just talking about like how she probably did 20,000 steps a day and like for like a few days in a row. And yeah, the same with like San Francisco, man. It's like I was there and it was just like awesome to be in a collage city that's built from various cultures and various perspectives. And yeah, there's like the tech stuff that happens, but it's like it just the city felt more vibrant and alive than previous trips that I've been there recently. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching these videos by this artist called Ari at Home. What he does, he straps on like this crazy like beat making machine with speakers, and he walks through New York City and he makes beats live and then asks people to like either rap or sing on him. And the collaborations that he's been posting recently are just like they're just incredible, man. It's just like I think it's kind of hard to convey like that feeling of collaboration and I don't know what you call it, but just like being in the moment. They've really come through in his videos, and yeah, I'll link them in this podcast. But gosh, they're incredible, and they make me miss living in a big city like New York. You
Yeah.
just don't get that here.
Yeah. New York was crazy. I mean, there was, I remember like one of the first times I rode my bike, I was an architect and I was working full time. And at my office, the first office I worked at was in Dumbo, which is down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. And Dumbo now is like, baby strollers on cobble streets and like West Elm stores and like fancy shit. No, it was like the only thing in Dumbo when I worked there was like a Jamaican food spot on the ground floor below my office. And like, I remember like Diplo and Low Budget had this band or like this DJ group called Hollertronics. And like the first night of me working late in the office, I just hear this like Baltimore club, like two-step beat. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I walk downstairs and like Hollertronics is playing in the basement. And there's like it's like filled with sweaty, like Brooklyn people dancing. And I'm like
Yeah,
3 floors up working in architecture. And it's like, but anyway, so I was riding my bike and I don't remember what might have been like, cause I was living in like like on the Bushwick Bed-Stuy kind of zone. And a bike messenger just like took a chain lock and just like smashed out a taxi's window because it cut him off. And I was just,
Yeah.
and then just like took off the wrong way on a one way and like disappeared. And it was just like, I was like, whoa, that was insane. And the taxi driver's like pissed off. And I get into the office and I'm telling everyone, and they're just looking at me like I'm a crazy person. They're like, wait, you ride a bike? Like, why do you ride a bike here? Like, you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
That's, I definitely have some like crazy stories from living in New York where it's like chaos just kind of was able to happen. It was like, it was post 9/11. So it was like, still, there was a lot of NYPD around. It was like kind of locked down, but like crazy shit still happened there. It was pretty.
Yeah. Do you think without like that energy of New York in the city that you maybe wouldn't have gone full in on the website and you still would be an architect?
Probably, yeah. I mean, if you know, like as a Gen X kind of millennial, like I was born in 1981. We've gone through like so many like hardships, like economic recessions, and just like, I mean, it's been a really difficult. I mean, anyone younger than me knows this. Like, it's not an easy world to make, quote unquote, make it in. Not that like you want to make it, you just want to survive and like pay bills and shit. And not Carrie's from raised by a single mom. Like I grew up lower income, like middle class, like at best, like paid for everything my whole life. So it's not like I have a trust fund doing this stuff. And so it's always been about like financial survival. And like New York was really important because I was able to do like the height of the architecture design that I wanted to ever do. Like I hit every mark that I had set for myself, but I just realized I don't want to do, 20 million penthouses for rich people that like while I was making 40,000. I got sick of eating ramen and pizza for lunch. Like I was working with a bunch of people that were like from affluent families and, were trust fund kids and could like get really nice food every day. And I'm like just gaining weight, eating shitty food. And like, I just realized that like it's that industry and that life isn't for me. And I think like the website felt more grassroots and punk rock, like how I grew up in North Carolina and going to shows and zines and all that stuff. Like the people that I grew up with and the people that I hung with, like in the punk and metal scene and the skate scene, like found that kind of community in the cycling scene. And so I felt really comfortable, even as like a 6'2", blonde hair, blue eyed, like cis white dude. Like I felt really comfortable in these like countercultures, and I felt like documenting those spaces and those people, like bike kill, which is just like kind of like the bike apocalypse, tall bike jousting and like all this crazy like house party shit. I do think that like living in New York and being able to document that stuff is 100% like why I'm sitting here today. Like if I would have stayed in North
Yeah.
Carolina working for some good old boy like developer, like dropping racial slurs and like in meetings casually, I don't even know. I'd probably be like 280 pounds with like some kids living in like some kind of like suburban tract house or something, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, none of it was by design. I didn't have a plan. It just kind of unfolded this way. Yeah.
Do you think for the younger folks and maybe not even younger who are looking to potentially go out on their own, build their own thing, do you think it's a smart move to move to a city right now to kind of be around other people, or do you feel the internet is good enough nowadays that you can kind of find that inspiration, or do you think you really need to kind of be surrounded by it?
I mean, if you could make it work, I think everyone should live in a big city at some point. Like if it's financially feasible. I mean, it's never going to be financially feasible. Like it's
Yeah.
if you
Roommates.
yeah, for me it was like living in a mildew smelling like black mold like basement apartment while I like figured out what I was going to do with my life for 2 years. But like that, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that living in a city is way different than like your phone, your social media experience is bullshit. Like it's not real. That's not how the world is. Like watching someone like vlog a trip to Thailand isn't going to tell you what it's like to be in Thailand. It's not going to let you feel the humidity. It's not going to let you like, or like even like people vlogging like the Tour Divide or like any of these things like that is not the experience. It's a curated visual experience for sure, but like being in like riding your bike back from a bar through Chinatown and like seeing the rats,
Yeah.
trash, and like it, a lot of people would be like, oh, that's gross. But like, no, that is like a visceral thing that like you will still smell that when you think about that. And like
Yeah.
With your phone and like with social media and Facebook, like you don't smell the things, like you're not feeling it like viscerally through your body. There's no like fight or flight response. But I definitely think that like a city experience like San Francisco, Los Angeles. I mean, LA is an amazing city. Like it's yeah, like if we could have afforded to stay and buy a house there, we probably would have. But yeah, I it just gets you out of your comfort zone. Like I'd show up to group rides in Los Angeles and I'd be the only white dude. And it's like, where in the country can you like experience like a group ride on a bike where you'll be the only white dude if it's not for San Francisco, New York, Chicago, or LA, or even like Houston for that matter. Yeah, I definitely think that like just being in surrounded by like cultures that are not that don't look like you is like so much about growth and talking to people and listening to them about what their experience is like. Just whatever. I mean, yeah, like all my like my homies that are brown in LA, like talking about like cops and shit. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what that's like. So like, yeah, if you aren't exposed to that stuff, you literally have no like way to understand it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Is there someone that's really inspiring you at the moment?
Oh, man. Yeah. Like cycling or just like in general.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get inspired by like I get inspired a lot of my well, I mean, I have authors that I read and shit, right? Like I love reading like kind of like yeah, like Craig Child's books are great. Like I like reading his stuff, but like in terms of like daily inspiration, like our team, like I think our team is has like inspired me the most and just in my adult life, like the people that are writing stuff for us and with us and it's great like Travis Engel's like we have like it runs the gamut. We have like Travis Engel who's like ex bike mag guy, been in bike shops for like 20 years, like since he was well longer than that, since he was like, a teenager. And then Haley Moore is like the youngest person that's working with us. And so Haley's like seeing the world of bikes and a lot of times like her first full suspension ride was like an Ibis Ripley review. And it's like reading her perspective about suspension bikes versus like reading Travis's very like nuanced, like minutia driven, like analyses on suspension kinematics and stuff like runs the gamut. And then we're all kind of in the middle somewhere. Travis has inspired me to become like more of a suspension tinkerer and to try to like understand more about bikes. I used to just be like, set it to factory stand, like whatever the factory tells you to put it to and just like, go rip it and not think about it. But then like, just everyone else that like Peter, we just did a road trip through the UK with Peter and watching how he like his run and gun style, working with different media, like media, like film video to like his black magic camera to like just watching him work is like really inspiring and seeing how him and his wife Rosie run Bespoke and just seeing the team of people that are making Bespoke run, that was like super inspiring because I think that's like the most honest, kind of like most grassroots feeling frame builder showcase I think I've ever been to because the frame builders that are showing there are also working to put the show on. There's like a fortification, I think is how I refer to it. Many hands are making this thing feel stable and strong. And it's not, other showcases, it's like there's like one person kind of like running the show and it's different. Like Bespoke felt very different. Yeah. And then Spencer's amazing abilities to like document communities and people. Taylor up in Vancouver and they're like super deep, like tech driven, like I don't know, they get into the nitty gritty with stuff and talking about mid to low trail bikes. And Miguel is like a homie here in Santa Fe doing some YouTube stuff for us with his race metal series. And he's so new to all of this that I sometimes have to check myself because I'll get like the cynical old guy about stuff. Like last year, I was like riding a 2.3 tire on my gravel bike, and he's like, "Those are really big and slow. Like you wouldn't want to do a race on those." I'm like, "They're big, but like high volume, like low pressure is where it's at, dude. Like it's comfortable. Being comfortable on long rides is like actually being fast." And now all the pros are like 2.2 tires on my gravel race bike, and it's like I want a bike with two. And I was like, "Dude, I told you all this like last year. Like, come on, we've been doing this for a decade at this point." So it's pretty cool to see everyone coming at it with like their own experiences and their own perspectives. Like I'm not a dirt jumper. Travis wrote an amazing dirt jumper article today about how public bike parks have like saved his soul. And like that's what radical atavism is. Like I don't want it to be like burnt out John Watson shaking his fist at a cloud. I want like everyone to be like bikes are great. Bikes suck. Bikes do this. Bikes do that. Like, have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought of that? I think that's the beauty of like what we do is everyone's got such a diverse background with cycling. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you all keep tight as a group?
Like, and
Slack?
yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest challenge is like, I'm like a do what you want guy. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
go forth and do whatever you want. And like, I don't know. I'm not like, I think I'm like maybe a leader, like in terms of like, I'm comfortable with myself to go forth and like do things that might be a little different. And then I think there's like people,
Yeah. You have the vision.
yeah, like but like coming up with like even just meeting notes for like having our like, Google Meet meetings that are like every 2 weeks or whatever.
Hmm.
That stuff like takes a lot for me. I roll a lot. I so like staying in contact with people in a perfect world, I would be like going around to like each of the cities where everyone lives and like spending time riding and like shooting stuff with them and
Hmm.
just it's really hard. Like it's Carrie and I are like working every day from like 7 a.m. until like well, we have a rule now, laptops close at 8, which I guess this rule just happened
Good.
last night.
Yeah.
But like I was out
Nice. I like that.
yeah, I was on a shoot for like 4 hours yesterday, just like
Yeah.
but it's like every time I'm on the road, everything business related falls by the wayside, and I have a checklist
Yeah. Yeah.
to do. So I don't. I think that's why I want to be like more member supported because so much of the time that I'm spending right now is working on like working with brands on like pitches and stuff like that. And I want to be able to like focus on my team and focus on content. I don't want the website to get bigger. I want it to stay like where it's at. I just want to be better funded so that like our team that we have now can get paid more. And that's a life dream for me. I don't want to be like the next pink bike or whatever. Like I want to be fucking kooky and weird and I want to be like quick to pivot and I want to be like willing to experiment and post architecture brutalism walks through London as like a Sunday feature. Like I don't want to have like
Yeah.
listicles and all this kind of shit, like clickbaity titles to like drive engagement, even though we do some of that in like really weird ways. But yeah, like
Yeah.
that's the staying in contact with people, like text, phone, Google Meetings, Slack, feedback on stories is like super important. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to note that what makes the Radavist so special and you and your team is that you guys have a soul. You can actually go to the website and get a feeling from it. And all these other bigger corporations, they have the volume, but there's no soul. So you're already ahead of them in that aspect. So now it's literally just like fitting out the rest of the puzzle pieces and they'll come. I have faith that they're going to come for you.
I mean, it's
But just
yeah.
knowing that you have that soul and that heart is, dude, puts you light years ahead of everyone else.
Thank
That's what brands are looking for now. Like these bigger companies they're trying to like create heart and soul,
yeah.
but they're struggling. They spend millions of dollars on it.
Well,
And you have that ingredient. So
the thing that like makes me just want to like shake people, like not in like an aggressive way, but like, how do you not see this? Is like companies will spend $1 million with Pink Bike. And it's yeah, they're the biggest website in the world. I get that. But like when's the last time Pink Bike like did a documentary or like and I like all of those guys that work at Pink Bike.
yeah,
And no
totally.
shade to them, but it's like
Yeah, there's a place for it for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. It's just like me getting like 10 grand from the same company spending $1 million, like $1 million. Like, dude, 40 grand would fundamentally change our website at this point. Like fundamentally, like if we got a brand to give us $200,000, like it would fundamentally change our business. And like we are the soul, we're like the soul, like I don't even want to say soul, but like steel hardtails, steel full suspensions, like small media is what brings that to the table into the zeitgeist. Frame builders, like bag makers, just everything that like small media does. Like I've sat and watched like two bigger websites than us, like blatantly copy our like member funded private buy sell trade forum. Like,
Mhm.
like blatantly, like they have so much money to come up with their own ideas and they just like blatantly copy that shit. And it's like, and then I see like websites that don't give a shit about frame builders at all. The people that founded the sites don't give a shit about them. They just care about racing and like stats and stuff. Like suddenly like hiring people to cover frame builders. And it's like, it's that 5% capitalist growth stuff that's like so gross. And it's like, without us doing it, like who knows if they would be doing it. but like I know those SEO tools they're using are like, this website is doing this and you're not. This website is doing this. And then they're just sitting down and going down the checklist. And like growing up in skate and surf culture and punk and hardcore, like, yeah, if you, as I'm wearing a band shirt, if you don't listen to that band, don't wear that shirt, dude. You're a fucking poser. Like, and it's like, that
Yeah.
seems super toxic and weird, but it's like, you just want like, you can tell, man, like you can tell that someone does not know what they're doing when they write a bunch of like misinformation about like say a custom bike. Like I've read people call billet brazed bikes TIG welded, and I'm like, dude, like why can't everyone just like do what they're passionate about and like allow everyone to have their like little sovereign borders? And like the Radavist does like the maker stuff and like the weird kooky bike galleries and like that kind of stuff. Like, you know, Pink Bike does really good like kind of mainstream mountain bike stuff. These other websites do, you know, road racing, whatever. Like you don't have to do everything. Like just like specificity and like, you know, being like, you know, experts at what you do is like what makes media so interesting to read. And like the more people just trying to fill in noise with like misinformation and like misquotes and stuff is just, it's just garbage. It's like the inshitification of media. Just I just wish people would just stay to the stuff that they're passionate about. And it's like it's been fine. It's just when the bike industry gets like scrappy and like gets low on funds that everyone starts to like try to like be something bigger than they are. And it's like we're all gonna have to go to
Yeah.
together. So like yeah, it's just funny. I don't know. I think like as a person that kind of like has been doing this for as long, I'm like, I have a whole list of things that like we can go into like in terms of content. And I think that's why I called it the Radavist is like it can be anything. It could I could like stop covering bikes altogether and just do landscape photography if I wanted to. Like it can
Yeah.
be anything. And like we're not really beholden to systems. And if we feel like we're not really getting something out of like putting in our work, like we're gonna just change it up and fucking flip the script and watch all these other people try to follow us. But it's like that's just the game. Is like there are like leaders and there are followers, and a lot of bike media right now are just following whatever SEO tool they have. So it's like kind of weird, but we're stoked because I think what we do is really great, and I think there's like passion there. And thanks for noticing it. It's just yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard running a small independent media company right now, and I just wish that more stable. So
For sure. Well, I think we're in a time too where this is like coming up a lot, where there's all these amazing platforms, and it get to the point where it's, hey, we really need the community support.
yeah,
And that call to action, I think, is so hard for the founders and the business owners because it's like you really have to say it like, hey, we run this and we really need the community support right now. We've been supporting you and now we need your support. And I think that's just, yeah, it's definitely a difficult thing to do for sure.
yeah. It's frustrating like looking at analytics and seeing, you know, like whatever company is closed this time, 100,000 visits just spike. You know, like I don't know, I wrote that Dust Up article. It was about like the bike industry is broken, it needs more density and less sprawl, and I think that applies to me
Mhm.
too. I think like media is broken because like I think because everyone is rage baiting, like they're literally like huffing propaganda from right and left media, and like everyone is aggressive right now in online communication. There's like this, it's like
Yeah.
they're drawn, what line are you like what line, what side of the line are you on? And as someone that like kind of inhabits very like conservative spaces like hunting and fishing and like four-wheeling, and then also like neo like anarchical liberal like believes that like human rights are human rights and like it doesn't matter if you're trans or whatever. Like I'm fundamentally like in support of those communities too. I wish there was more discourse, and I wish there was more like just kind of like nuance in the world. And yeah, as like so I think people get like very like rage baited, and they want to see controversy, and they want to see things to get angry about, and they're like, oh my god, whatever company closed, let's all look at that. And it's like, how do you tap into that energy into putting up like a bespoke gallery? You know, like
Yeah.
the answer is this frame builder made a $20 road bike. Is that even worth it? And it's like that's garbage. Like, like
Yeah.
I don't play that game, and like you see it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like really trying to figure out how to like, and there's so many people doing it now. It's like if the Radavist closed tomorrow, people would be sad for about a month, and then like the other media would just like fold over. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
roots of the tree that like swallow the hobbits, and it was just like we like
Yeah.
we'd disappear into the ether, and all these other people would just be like doing whatever we were doing, and it's fine. But like, how do you instill that urgency with like the readership to where like I think 5% of your readership supporting your site with like a membership program is seems pretty reasonable, but it's hard to get
Yeah.
5%. That's like
Yeah.
it's damn near impossible. And like,
Yeah.
how do you communicate that to people? Because no one reads either. So it's like you almost need like a video of me as soon as you, which I don't want to see my grill on the front of the website when you open it up, but just a video being like, if you don't support us, we won't be here forever. And like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I know we need to wrap up soon, but before we do, I just wanted to say a couple things. There is a really amazing podcast called the Dirt Bag Diaries that focuses on stories about the outdoors, a lot of climbing. They own, I think the company's called Duct Tape and Then Beer, but amazing podcast, and they have amazing guests and amazing stories. And they went through some hard times, probably still are. But at the beginning of every podcast now, he does a pitch, basically calling the community to say, hey, if you enjoy this podcast, we really, really need your support. And I think it worked. I mean, I've listened to maybe a dozen or so episodes, and it's at the front of every episode because they're really hammering it in. And then another example is we lost one of our only mountain bike shops in Portland, Oregon, called Fat Tire Farm,
Yeah.
which has been here since
Yeah.
83 or something.
Yeah.
And when they said they were going out of business, they sold everything at like pretty much cost, and hordes of people showed up to buy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Where were those people when?
man, where were you? Yeah, where were you when they really needed it? And I think a big part of it, though, obviously, it's more complex. Is just maybe people didn't know. So
Yeah.
I think the simple act of really being honest with your readers and just saying, like, hey, we really need your support right now, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, it's like the NPR shit. Like,
So
you're listening to your NPR program during their
yeah,
fundraiser, and they're just like and you are already support. I think that's the hard part. Is like we have a banner at the top of the site that says like, and to be completely honest, like our UX is very confusing. Again, like the Radavist, like people are like, I don't have anything to sell. I want to cancel my subscription. And you're like, well, it's not the Rad Bazaar. It's like you're supporting us. We're just giving you the Rad Bazaar gift. It doesn't matter how many times you say that, nobody reads anymore. So we have that banner at the top of the site, and it says, we need support our independent reportage, like all that stuff, yada yada yada. And it's like, and then our newsletter, I just posted it today. It's like every newsletter gets like 70% opens and like click throughs, and there's a giant banner on that. I think, or just they have subscription fatigue. Like I said,
yeah, that's a thing for sure.
And like we're getting emails now from those services that like unsubscribe you from all these things. And it's like, do these people like realize that like when they're trying to trim their budget back, like they're essentially cutting out like a $6 a month thing? Like that's nothing.
Yeah,
that is so insanely cheap. That's like the cost of a coffee now. So yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I think the other thing is like I hate being self-promotional. Like I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be in front of the camera, and I don't want it to be on the front of the site, but like I just have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like I also don't want to be in meetings begging companies for money. So like, what do I hate more? And I guess I'm just gonna do a Tony show and be like, we have some ideas to do some fun stuff, but I have an idea for an article that I want to write that hopefully taps into some energy. Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. Like, I think a lot of people have a lot of really good advice, and I just need to like find time and focus on it. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, the great thing is that you have support, you have amazing people behind you that really appreciate what you're doing. So with that said, is there something that you want to leave the audience, maybe something deep down that you believe in that you think people should hear right now?
Yeah, I think like it doesn't matter what kind of bike you ride, what kind of clothes you wear when you're riding your bike, what like doctrine you like, if you're a Grant Peterson, or if you're a Pathless Pedaled, or if you're a these like a Jan Hein, or any like a Radavist person, or a whatever person, like riding a bike is going to save the planet. Like it's going to make your local air cleaner. If you can, try to ride your bike more. Just ride your bike. It doesn't have to be a Rivendell. It doesn't have to be a crust bike. It could be a basket bike that you built from your co-op, and try to encourage your friends to ride bikes, and try to like set up rides so that maybe there's more of you riding to the trailhead instead of a bunch of people driving to the trailhead. Like, hey, let's meet up somewhere central in town and ride to the trailhead. Like, I don't know. I just think that
Yeah.
like the world sees, or the United States specifically sees bikes as sport equipment. They don't understand the transformative nature of cycling. And I think the more people riding a bike in plain clothes, with or without a helmet, like whatever, if you want to believe the AAA propaganda behind that, like, but just riding a bike, just ride,
Yeah.
like that's yeah, and wear whatever the fuck you want. Who cares? If you want to wear lycra head to toe, great. If you want to wear jeans and a chambray shirt, great. If you want to ride in your underwear, like Ronnie Romance, whatever, like doesn't matter. Just ride a bike. If you want to be the weird guy that rides a beach cruiser around in a thong all summer, be that guy or girl, whoever. Just get out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bicycles will definitely change the world and change your life for
Big
sure.
time. It's like we have bike month right now. Why is there a bike month? Why isn't it just bike year? Why don't like, I just it's like so funny to me. And like all these grassroots things that you could do to like help your community. Yeah, I don't know. Make cycling like feel like a viable solution in an ever increasingly crazy world. But man, it was so cool being in London. It's like 50% bike commuter growth, or 100% bike commuter growth since like October because they just built.
Yeah. It's incredible.
They just like all they did was like close down some roads to cars and say this is a one lane or a one way bike like corridor. Same with San Francisco. It's like it doesn't take a lot. Like one person
Yeah.
on a city council is responsible for all of like the cycling infrastructure in Santa Rosa, and the same in Marin County, and the same in like Chico. And it's like these places that have great infrastructure, like Tucson. It's just like one person that just is a greasy, loud, annoying as fuck wheel in every meeting and gets something done. So
Love it.
yeah, and support
Cool.
independent so that like I can do more local advocacy stuff because I really want to do that, but I'm stuck trying to save this like sinking ship. So yeah, yeah. Anyway,
All right. Well, thank you so much, John.
yeah, Chris.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, yeah,
Great. Thanks.
yeah. Take care.
And that's our show for today. If you like this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. It really all helps out. If you have any questions about creativity, process, or anything we talked about, please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow along at Broken Coastal on Instagram and YouTube. Please subscribe to my newsletter. It's absolutely free. It's a weekly dose of inspiration at the intersection of design and the outdoors. I think you'll love it. So that's it. Thanks for being here. Cheers.